Critical Blast, where pop culture gets blasted.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at criticalblast.com, and it is time for the LCS Guys. Welcome to the show, Brian from Blastbeat ATX in Austin, Texas, and Dave Dyer from Cosmic Comics in Belleville, Illinois. Dave, how you doing tonight?
We are doing well, my friends. Good to see everybody. I'm recovered from my second Moderna shot. That Friday when I got it, I felt like a rock star. And Saturday morning when I woke up, I felt like dog, you know what. So,
which is how a rock star usually feels the next morning after.
Hey, go out big, right? Yeah, it knocked me out for a good 24 hours. Today I feel great. Yesterday was not a good day for me. So, yeah. But you know what? I got them both. I'm done. I'm good. So we made it.
But it's been a busy day for me as well. A busy week. You know that the shipping business I've been talking to you about. We're finally starting to. We got like slowly took on one client and then a second client because he told somebody, and now today it's been like I've been on 3 different shows telling people about it, showing the numbers, and I've got. That's a cool ringtone. Mine's the Neil Hefti Batman song.
Mine's Mothra.
But I've been, doing a lot of one-on-one streams with people, showing them the numbers and signing them up as clients. I've got 7 clients right now for shipping crowdfunding books. So it's going to be fun and eventually very busy.
Congratulations. Good.
I'm going to love it. And then, I get to call you guys up and say, hey, I have comics for sale here from.
Amen. I'd rather get them from you than other distribution companies right now.
Oh, you do eventually get your books from other distribution companies, though, don't you? I mean,
yeah, it only takes over 2 weeks, but yeah, 2 weeks past the due date, and then I get shorted. So yeah. So my thing was this week I had actually 2 weeks ago I had a run-in with Lunar Distribution, our wonderful distribution company for all things DC.
Yes.
And yeah. And so they basically told my wife and I that we owed on back invoices, which we did not. And I had proof of it because I pay everything to Lunar through PayPal. And they said, well, we can't find it. And I'm like, well, that's very funny because I'm going right to my PayPal and I scroll down to my activity. And not only do I see that I pay you, but it even ties the invoice to what I paid you.
Would you like the transaction number?
Yeah, exactly. And Brian, you probably know this as well as I do. They not only do you tie the invoice to it, but there isn't a phone number that I can call to bitch at somebody. So I have to do it via email, which then they don't answer for another 24 to 48 hours. So what could have been taken care of in one phone call now has taken 2 weeks for them finally, after they go, you know what? Can you prove to us that you paid those? Because we still can't find it. And I did. I went to my PayPal. I did a cut and paste, sent it to them. And finally, after about a week and a half to 2 weeks, they go, okay, well, your account's unfrozen. So then I said, okay, what do I get out of this? Because you didn't ship me stuff on due date. I am now behind on getting my shipments now for 2 weeks by the time you send it to me. And I said, so are you going to cover shipping on this? Because this shouldn't come out of my ass. This should come out of your ass because of your screw up.
Yeah.
And they flat out said, no, we don't do that. And then they tried and then they tried to put it back to me and go, if you would have gone through our portal. And then I wrote them back and said, well, if you would have told me about your portal, and by the way, I've gone to your portal, and guess what? Your portal email is the same email that I pay you through PayPal on. So either way, it's a dog chasing its tail. You get it. You're getting my payment, you idiots.
Yeah,
so
is Lunar exclusively the carrier of DC at this
Yeah.
point? I mean,
So then I go, I dig up DC Warner Brothers, and I go, and there's, always gives you a little drop down. Here's your problems with shipping, whatever. I click on that, and guess where it takes you? Back to Lunar. So I go right back to where I all started. So they finally send me my fucking shipment, and then they short me on the Batman Fortnite, which is what everybody wants.
yes,
I
was
ordered-
gonna ask how that impacted.
Yeah. I ordered 30 of those, and I got, ready for this, 8.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So as my account was frozen, all they kept doing was skimming off of my pile to fulfill orders at Midtown Comics, because we all know that Lunar is Midtown Comics.
No, that was gonna be my next question. Was who's the owner? So okay,
Yeah,
Midtown.
It's Midtown. So of course,
Yeah.
Brian, they take care of their own peeps, their own orders, and then we, the little guy, get fucked on this. Oh, I am still so livid over this.
That was the big concern when Lunar first announced that they were going to be distributing, was that the smaller shops were saying, hey, we're getting books from our competition here, because they're a seller.
Not surprised about that, because my guess here, and I'm not defending Midtown / Lunar, I'm just making a point that I've been to the Midtown on 42nd or 38th or whatever, the one in Midtown Manhattan that's upstairs.
Yeah.
They're like down the street from Madison Square Garden. It's probably, no kidding, like $40,000 a month to rent that place there.
Yeah.
So I imagine their finances are a little wacky these days.
Yeah, they obviously don't have anybody worth their salt running their accounting at all. And look, I get it. It's COVID, but come on. If I'm paying you through PayPal, as much as we don't maybe like the fees that PayPal takes out when you sell something through eBay or used to or whatever, it doesn't matter. PayPal is still very easy to track down what you've paid out and what has been paid in. My God, you can even separate the two, pay in and pay out. And it's right there. I mean, I did it in less than a minute, and it took them 2 weeks, and they still couldn't find my account. I'm like, come on, who do you got over there? What monkey is, are you not feeding them enough bananas to get it done?
Yeah. And the thing, especially now that PayPal has an invoicing function, I'm sure they're invoicing you with the PayPal invoice. So all they have to do is, go to their invoices. The invoice should have said paid, because PayPal will mark that thing. I send out PayPal invoices. When I get money back, it marks that PayPal invoice as paid. And
whenever you guys make money off of pay, when somebody buys something, whether it's your website or eBay or whatever you've got it set up with, you guys get notifications on your phone. I do. Every time I get money in or I pay money out, it notifies me. You're going to tell me that Lunar Distribution, who's huge, doesn't have that set up on some system on their email or whatever? It says Dire Straits Productions, Cosmic Comics has paid you, blah. Brian has paid you, I mean, come on. This is not rocket science.
I also like the theory that the internet worked for everyone else on the planet except them,
Yeah. And I'm not even a genius. I just know how to work my system. Yeah. But I know for a fact that PayPal is one of the easier systems to deal with. And I mean, and they make it
about the fees, because it's in a way you're getting your money out of it. There's no rip-offs. You can track down the data. Yeah, that little argument of theirs doesn't hold any water.
Well, and here's what's funny too, Brian, is that you've heard about the eBay, where it's switched over to eBay's own payment system now.
Yeah, I'm using it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? They never came to me, so I'm still on the PayPal.
That's so wow. You slipped at the cracks.
I know. I did. Now watch it.
The Chinese spies are going to report you or whatever.
But yeah, to this day, whenever I sell something on eBay, you still are paying PayPal, and I slip through the cracks somehow. And they have never. And I'm a medium seller. I'm not a huge, but I'm like, I mean, if people would have gave me more reviews, right, left feedback, then I'd be a lot higher than I was. But I've been selling since 2006, so. I'm not a power seller, but still, how I fell through the cracks, I don't know.
It usually reminded me of something of like those big item sellers. I guess it's more of a sports card thing, but it has to go into comic books too. If you're there's a place called Blowout Cards. if you need 6 cases of Topps baseball, that's where huge giant orders. They've got that. But these people that have like a Babe Ruth and a Mickey Mantle and a Michael Jordan, they've got a handful of high dollar items. They sell them. Stores over, they're out of inventory. You know what I mean? They've just got a few things worth a lot of money, but it's not a real business.
Right. And it's like me, I mean, I'll take a few items that maybe aren't moving in the store as quickly as I need them to move, and I'll put them on eBay, and boom, I'll pop them, and that's fine. The money goes back into the shop. I don't keep my money. I use if it's a product that I've sold through the shop website, that's different. But if I sell something that's out of the store, I still keep it for the shop. I don't spend it on myself or anything like that. And it's one of those things where I'm not a heavy seller on eBay, but I'll sell a couple of things a week on eBay for the shop.
That's pretty good.
And yeah, and especially like, let's say like a 1 per store comes in or something like that. And if I'm, depending what kind of mood I'm in, I'll put it out in the shop for somebody. But other than that, it's a 1 per store. It's whatever I want to do with it. And sometimes I'll put them on eBay, and let the bidding war go. So, and hey, a lot of times it's turned out great. Like the Magic the Gathering 1 per store. Fuck, man, I think I sold that thing for $85.
Oh.
That's crazy.
Is that the set of the foil lands or something else?
That was the 1 per store one that just had the regular. It was the Ash Can 1 per store.
Oh, okay.
For Magic the Gathering #1, the comic book. Yeah.
Oh, they're doing these. I thought you meant the cards. They're doing these special things for the cards.
Yeah, they're doing the comic book now, Magic the Gathering, and if you buy the polybag one, it comes with a Magic the Gathering card. That is, we don't know which one it is. So,
which means people were really buying the card and getting a comic book in addition to it.
Or in my case, nobody's buying it at all.
Well, not everybody. There are some people, like I play Magic the Gathering, but I never thought I was the Goblin King or the Elf Wizard. There are people that do. They get into the story, where I'm more into the mechanics of the game. There's something for everyone in that.
We did have a question from the chat here. Justin Carguth wanted to verify. He believes it isn't Lunar DCBS, or wasn't DCBS the other DC distributor?
Yeah, and they are no longer a distributor for Lunar. Once again, Lunar, like Diamond, has cornered the market, and DBS is no longer affiliated to be able to sell DC.
And Heroenberg, you are absolutely correct. Dave's store is out of this world, and if you're near St. Louis, stop in at http://cosmiccomicsbelleville.com, which I believe is a link to your Facebook.
Yes, love it.
So I have a question about eBay books, and this is where Brian can come in and help, because I have with me a reprint, a remastered reprint of something that came out in the 90s. So it's recolored and it has new material added to it. My X-Farce Reloaded copies from Don Chin have come in.
You got them in hand.
Wow. Check those out.
I've got them here. They are very cool. And I even got a special from the files of Parody Press, a Heroes copy that came.
Nice homage to Liefeld, man. Very
came
cool.
Gratis. Yeah. And there's a trading card for the X-Cons tucked back in there in a plastic saver, by the way.
Card saver, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm very happy with that. But this has drawn up a lot of attention for Parody Press online. I'm wondering what you're seeing hit the original Parody Press titles on eBay, because some of them they were fun, but they were forgettable from a collectible standpoint, because they're like, oh, we made fun of this, and then you put it in your comic pile and you didn't. No one ran out to get the first appearance of a parody of a character.
Beauty of the internet. I am looking it up now. Oh, the very first search result. We've got a lot of 12 issues for $25. Let's go from most expensive to least.
Okay.
Oh, original art for $5.50, but that's not where the graded ones. There's several graded ones. The plus up from what you got, the X-Farce Reloaded bundle with the coffee cup and the lunchbox, $200.
Wow,
graded
Baywatch on eBay already.
Long story short, yes, there is demand for Parody Press. Quite a few listings, some high dollar items.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's interesting, because one of the things you listed was the very one that just came out. I wonder if there's what the flip market is like for people who are crowdfunding, whether like, I'm going to crowdfund this for the, $75 that it's selling for, and then I'm going to turn it right around on eBay and double it and try to sell it to somebody who missed the crowdfunding.
If we think
that happens
mechanically
all the
and
time.
conceptually, this is where the deadlines are very important for the creator, because you've got the creator gets on the internet hype machine and raises their money and makes their product, right? And they're selling to their backers. And what you got, the real trick to it is getting people to hear about it beyond the backers, because those are the people who buy the back issues, right? But none of that's ever going to happen if the book never comes out. So I love seeing Don and Parody Press actually putting their money where their mouth is and getting the thing out, and you can see it's getting rolling for them. The other guys, especially the new creators, this is my first book and that kind of thing. We'll see.
Now, Justin's asking if DC, what the scuttlebutt you guys hear is about DC. Would they possibly move to Penguin like Marvel has done now? And Robert's got an even better idea. Why didn't Amazon didn't quit distributing books during the COVID? Why didn't they just all go to Amazon?
I honestly, I don't know what the answer is going to be. All I know is that what is happening right now is not working. So Scout Comics has also gone over to Lunar. Scout Comics is a low press run, so it's hard enough to get as it is. And now I'm going to have to go through Lunar to get it instead of Diamond. I don't know what the answer is. Okay, and here's my honest opinion. The answer is we need to stop the one shop people. Diamond and Lunar cannot corner the damn market. We need to open this up so that we as shop owners and people who are in this business have the ability to go to whoever I want, just like insurance. Okay, I should be able to go to different distribution people and go, you know what? Okay, Lunar didn't work for me, so I'm going to go with Amazon or Penguin Press or whatnot. In fact, I'm going to hopefully be able to set up an account with Penguin Press to get my Marvel and cut Diamond out, because Diamond still can't give me an answer as to what my discount's going to be when if I stay with them and still get Marvel from Diamond, because they're still going to distribute it, but they just can't tell me what my damn discount will be. Well,
Right,
my discount,
they got to get it from Penguin.
Right. So now we got a middleman and a middleman. So you got Diamond going to Penguin to get it, and now I'm dealing with Diamond as a middleman. Well, either they eat it or I'm going to eat it. Well, I got news for you. I'm not going to eat it, because my profit margin as a shop owner alone is small enough. It needs to be a larger profit margin for me to keep the doors open. So I'm not going to go from a 50% discount to, okay, yeah, I'll suck it up and do 35 so that Diamond gets theirs. No, not going to. I'll go right to Penguin Press and RGA. Like you said, Penguin is free shipping. I like that idea a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's the more hops that something has to go through, the more expensive. Somebody asked me today, they're coming out of Italy, and they're like, oh, by the way, would you be able to ship to Canada? And I worked the numbers for them, but they're like, yeah, I could ship it there directly for the same. I'm like, yeah, because you're sending it international to me, and then I'm then sending it two international hops is going to be expensive. Just
Expensive
send it
as
direct.
hell. Exactly.
Unless you're sending me like 100 of them, then we can work something. But yeah,
I'm trying to figure out at what decade all these companies started to just monopolize the industry. I somewhere in there, I guess maybe I was chasing girls or something. I don't know. And I missed the whole point where Diamond became the master of all.
Well, I was in high school when that happened, so I have pretty clear memories of it. So let me paint the picture. In a long, long, far away time called 1992, there's Willowbrook Mall in Houston. One mall had 5 comic book stores in it. Like the little kiosk, or we got the thing next to the nail place. The way that was possible was it was a big war between Diamond and Capital Cities. And that got to the point where you could open a new account for $300 and start ordering your Stormwatch and your Wildcats and all the crap from back then. And that's how everyone started stores. And then 94, the whole thing came down, and Diamond was the last man standing. So it wasn't like they were Donald Trump with the great plan. It's just they were the last one.
Wow. And so you think that now we could get back into getting different. I mean, I understand that the publishing world has changed a lot because it's mostly we're getting more and more into a digital era, so there's less publishing, and I think that there's just less people who want to distribute this stuff, and so that makes it so much thinner for us as shop owners to be able to pick and choose. But damn, man, I mean, there's still the desire. I mean, the Batman Fortnite thing took the world by storm, and I knew it was going to be big, and like I said, I ordered accordingly, but so much for that theory.
Yeah.
Because there's always a nail that's going to shut it down for you.
Now, the Batman Fortnite thing, that was that's less of people buying a Batman comic than it was of them making a what I heard today was it was a microtransaction for a game skin, an end game skin that just happened to come with a comic book that people were buying through comic shops.
That's interesting. Because they all came poly bags, so I didn't rip a bag open to do it. And actually, guys, by the time I got it and everybody else was sold out of it, I had one pre-order for it. Because you got to remember, this was not part of DC's normal lineup. This was not advertised in their DC Connect forms or anything like that. So when I saw it, I ordered light, then I ordered heavy on final cutoff, knowing that it was going to be big. Then my account gets frozen. So, and then when I get it, it's poly bagged, so I don't know what's inside the bag, but I had to do a first come, first serve basis.
Yeah.
Because my phone rang off the hook on Tuesday, rang off the hook on Wednesday. I'm like, people, I can't honestly tell you, I'm sorry, I can't hold one for you. It's impossible.
Yeah, and here's what's going to happen now because Lunar did that when Batman Fortnite. I'm guessing there's going to be a number 2. This is like a mini.
Oh yeah, there's actually 6 in the series, and they're already doing reprints of one or first and second prints of the first one, second prints of the second one, and second prints of the third one already. Yeah.
So everybody who wants Batman Fortnite number 2, they're going to go get it where they got Batman Fortnite number 1, aren't they?
I hope not. I hope, because I'm hoping that at this point, and look, nobody yelled at me because I couldn't hold one because you called, right?
Yeah.
I said, look, it's a first come first, because look, the people who wanted this, I don't care about the prospectors. Prospectors could kiss my ass all day long. It was the kids who are getting phone calls from. Kids who are playing Fortnite wanted this, and I'm like, you know what? I want the kids to have this. I only have 6 issues out of the 8 because 2 were pre-ordered. So I only had 6, but it's first come, first serve. So I made sure the kids had the chance to do it, because if not, the prospectors would, and it was 1 per customer. That way, look, I only have 6, but at least it gets into 6 different hands, right?
And that's going to be a special memory for the kids too.
Exactly. So I'm hoping that come number 2, I have a better understanding of what's going on. Hopefully I can stay on top of Lunar so they won't fuck me over again. Yeah. And then I can really get out there and promote and say, hey, you guys come to me. Great. I'll take care of you. Sorry about the first time around. It's not the first time it ever happened, because we all remember last Ronin and a gazillion other issues that were, ENIAC number 1 with Bad Idea, so many. Pokemon. Most of the time, I think this stuff is all fucking a ploy. It's all a ploy. So
what Bad Idea do?
Oh, Bad Idea with the whole ENIAC number 1 where they didn't fulfill all the orders on it. Yeah.
That's
and
a bad idea.
Yeah. I always say bad idea is a bad idea. Yeah. And
I really liked those guys when they were at Valiant.
Well, the story I remember from Bad Idea was that somebody put ENIAC number 1, a store, put it on eBay the day it came out, and they got banned from being ever able to sell Bad Idea comics again.
Well, two shops have had that happen, and unfortunately, there's still those. And I'm one of the Bad Idea dealers. I'm one of the 300 stores in the United States that is an official ENIAC reseller. Or not a Bad Idea reseller. 2 stores have been booted, and the problem is we're still seeing these people taking these books and popping them on eBay for much higher price. They did it with ENIAC number 1. They did it with Tankers number 1. there's this new one. They're gonna. I forget what it's called. RJ, maybe you can help me. Something the Pizza Man or whatever, but can only be sold for 24 hours. So here's the thing. This sounds
very gimmicky.
It's very gimmicky, and I get tired of the gimmicks, Brian. I really do. I look. I want to open my door at 10 o'clock. I want to sell you books, and I want to close my door at 6. I'm not going to do this 24-hour crap where I'm going to open at midnight and sell it till midnight so that you can get your damn one-off book from Bad Idea.
Which is the whole concept of telling people what to do with their purchase. It'd be like, Domino's says, we'll deliver to your house, but you can't give any to your sister. What? You know,
exactly.
There was remember the uproar that was going on about police officers who were wearing the Punisher T-shirts, and they were like, Marvel, Disney, do something about this. I'm like, what are they going to do? Make people sign a EULA when they buy a T-shirt from somebody? It says, I promise not to wear this shirt to protests.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing, and give me a second here, but so here's the other thing, Brian. Not only do I have 24 hours, the book is only on sale for 24 hours, but if you buy it over the phone that day, I have to ship it to you that day. Come on. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and have somebody just sitting in the back room packing this shit up to send out. Okay. And I'm like, and how are you monitoring this anyway? And then what doesn't sell, I have to ship back to you? Oh, come on.
So
not at my expense.
What happens now, Dave, if you've sold that book to somebody, and as we collectors often do, we will come back to the store sometime with a handful of books saying, what will you give me for these? Do you have to send it back to them if you end up buying back a Bad Idea book? No shit,
right? I mean, it's so cockamamie the way this is being done. And I've gotten to the point where I'm almost like, it's like, you know what? Bad Idea is exactly that. It's a bad idea. I don't like playing this game. Hank Howard, Pizza Detective. Thank you. Definitely. Thank you, Herrenberg. I don't like it. Stop telling us what we can do and can't do. Stop trying to make us play the gimmicky stuff. I'm not
artificial scarcity.
To play
do they want people to read this or not?
Yeah. Right, exactly. And since when do I have to kiss your ass? You should be kissing my ass because I'm carrying your book. And if you don't like it, then take me off your list and give it to someone else. And I hope somebody from Bad Idea is watching this because I'm getting really tired of this stuff. Okay, I carry it.
Very arrogant for how much money can they possibly make in a month? It's got to be under $100,000. They're not Apple or Amazon that can lay down the law,
And all that anybody cares about, Brian, is issue number 1. I'm sitting on a bunch of issue number 2. Hey, anybody out there on the Critical Blast listening and watching, if you want ENIAC number 2, I got plenty of them. But see, I'm out of number 1. I'm out of number 1 of Tankers. So that's all the prospectors want is number 1.
Yep.
Number 2s, you sit on them. I haven't had one person call me to pre-order the Hank Howard Pizza Detective, and I'm on the Facebook page for Bad Idea that's put up by fans, and people are like, I can't get anybody to sell me a copy of Hank Howard's Pizza Detective. Well, this is where Bad Idea just screwed us because it's $1. $1. I'm not going to run your card for $1. Okay.
Oh God, yeah.
So I'm going to tell you, okay, look, make an order with me. We'll throw that in there, and then I'll ship it to you. But I'm not going to run your card for $1, and that's where everybody's screwed. Because unless you walk in off the street and buy it within that 8-hour period that I'm open, you're going to call me. I'm like, sorry, but you're going to have to increase your order to at least $5-6 to make it worth my while. And then I'm going to charge you $3 shipping because even media mail or whatever, it's going to be that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stupid. It's ridiculous what they're doing.
No, this isn't a viable business plan, not in today's society.
No.
Well, we've got communications into Bad Idea. We're trying to get them to come on the show sometime. Would have been great to have had them on this show.
I'm shocked. This is new to me, and let me put my personal feelings on the table. I was a big fan of Dinesh Shamdasani when he was in charge of Valiant. I really love that 2012 to 2017 era. From what I know, he got a massive payout from fill in the blank CCP, who bought Valiant and is now focusing on the Chinese market. So he's sitting on a ton of cash, and I'm assuming, my assumption, it doesn't really matter how bad idea turns out because he's set for life.
He is, and yeah, and you're right. He is the driving force behind Bad Idea. So
he was so good at Valiant. I don't get this.
Well, it's the new Valiant. I don't know, but it's not the way to go about this.
No.
And then here's the other thing too. And RJ, you know the area I'm in, so you know who is down the street from me, exactly a mile away. Well, he's also a Bad Idea distributor, okay, a retailer. And I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you? Not necessarily my competition, but what you've done is you've basically screwed us both. Give it to one of us, but not both of us. And then he's got 3 stores, so he's got it cornered. Well, then fine, take it away from me and give it to him, because this is just stupid.
Wider area with one. You can buy it for one store and sell it and distribute it in the other 3.
Ooh.
Right.
Follow-up thought on the number ones that you said a second ago.
Yeah.
My educated guess of what's happening in those number ones. They are not being read and cherished and beloved possessions. They are immediately going to CGC, getting slabbed and getting flipped. Because that's what's happening with all the sports cards now. I don't know if you heard about this. PSA has stopped accepting submissions for the rest of the year because they have an 18-month backlog. They have 600,000 cards in storage yet to be graded. CGC has to be around the corner with a similar kind of fate.
That's crazy. It has to. It has to. Because I know that when I sent mine in a year ago, it took me like 6-7 months to get them. Yep. And I knew that even then they were saying, this is during COVID, they were saying that they are, backlog. So it's just a matter of time they would continue to get more and more backlog.
But that's where all those number ones are, sitting in the pile waiting to get graded.
You're right. And I'm looking this up right now. Tanker's number 1 on eBay. Just to get a grasp on what that's going for.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to throw some love out to the chat here because we got some folks watching. We got Boob Dan Art. Boob Dan, thank you for popping in here. Boob Dan is the driving force behind Goblin Girl. Some great stuff there. Had him on the show. Robert Roberts, of course, in the chat. Heroinberg is our master mechanic, being the wrench behind everything. Marvin Wynn, hey. Mike Walters is in the chat. Recently discovered us when we had Mr. Hop on for some Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I guess is going to have to be Captain America and the Winter Soldier next time they put it out, won't it?
Hey, Mike Walters, with your comment about look to the past and find the good stuff to read, that is a big part of the problem right now. The modern era, I'd say 2010 to now, is not selling because people would rather have 30-year-old Walter Simonson stories. People are going back to the past and digging up the good stuff because the current stuff in one ear out the other, if you bother at all.
Yeah. Now, I was on the Matriarchy, the Thursday night, Matt Reese's show. Matt's been a special guest on the program here for the LCS guys. And we were talking about, brainstorming how to save comics. And we don't mean by polybagging them and putting them in a long white box in a humid, in an airy environment. And the thing that hit me was, if we're buying all these back issues all the time anyway, because we want to go back to the past and look at the good stuff or what we remember to be the good stuff, what kind of
good stuff?
It was good stuff.
Yeah.
What would you think if DC or Marvel or whomever just did an imprint called 1970? And starting January 1 of 2022, put out in reprint form every book that came out in January 1972. And then in February, did the same thing for February and just did that.
This format, though, bring this back. The
No,
not
the ones like. Well, I'm talking about actual floppies. Like, if Superman 272 came out that month, then reprint Superman 272, and the next month do Superman 273. Just
in a facsimile format
for 10 years.
Yeah,
in a facsimile format.
You could
do the 60s, you could do the 70s, you could do the 80s. You could have 3 different print runs there. You could just follow it in a monthly format like you had before.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea
Different
because
covers.
facsimiles have always done very well for me because people are like, what story should I start with? I'm like, well, I'll tell you what, go back to the back, go back to the beginning here, read this facsimile of Iron Man or Captain America. Those are great books, man. They hold up so well. Great. It's still some of the best artwork ever compared to the crap we're getting today.
And Justin, you're right. It would embarrass current sales because remember Dan Didio
Yeah.
was bitching about people buying we put out these dollar comics and you buy all those and you don't buy the new stuff. Well,
no, you're right.
It's supposed to be telling you something, Dan.
Justin's completely correct because if you notice the whole dollar comic from Marvel has kind of waned itself off the teeth.
Yeah, I bought a lot of those.
Yeah, and they're great. They're great. But they all of a sudden they're not up there for sale anymore for me to get them as a distributor. You know, now Image is still kind of fucking around with it, and that always cracks me up because, you know, I bought in a bunch of Invincible, which is a great show, and nobody bought the dollar ones, but then everybody wants to trade paperbacks, Brian, like you were showing there. Yeah, that's what. So to the point where I went ahead and bought the omnibus of the Invincibles. So
everybody's got Image, because you talk about the difference between the old stuff and the new stuff, and Image is super guilty of this. A lot of their comic books are Netflix pitches with staples in it. You know, it's like this is clearly somebody's movie script or whatever. And you know, Jim Shooter didn't do that.
No, you're right. You're right.
But what I'm hearing is that this is Invincible is a case where the movie or the series actually is driving some sales into the comic shop for the reading material.
Starting to, it's so funny. It's not driving the comic book, which they redid the Invincibles. I think Invincible came out last month, #1. I don't know if it was, I guess it's a one shot. It didn't drive any sales for that, but it's driving sales for the trade paperbacks because now people are interested in seeing the older storylines, not necessarily caring about the newer storylines, but they want to see what the show is based off of. So yeah, I've been getting like a lot of phone calls. I carry volumes 1, 2, and 3, but everybody wants volume 4, which cracks me up. I get phone calls. Do you have volume 4? I'm like, no, but I ordered it and it's coming in, and I got the omnibus is coming in. But yeah, just one of those things where
wonder what special event happens in volume 3.
I don't know. It's in volume 4 that everybody wants. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm curious because as soon as it comes in, I'm gonna read it real quick. So, but yeah, I was watching the Netflix show the other day, and I'm like, wow, great animation. Definitely not for kids. You know, it's Watchmen more or less. You know, cussing and everything in there, and lots of blood and all of that. But it's the new wave of the future of what we're seeing these days.
Yeah, it's
I think a big missing piece with the distributors and the manufacturers and the creators and everybody is if we just go out on the sidewalk right now and talk to strangers, people still like comic books, but they don't know where to get them, how to get them, why to get them. There's a big disconnect from the business side to the consumer side of handing these things off. And that's the problem that needs to be solved. You could polybag everything 1,000 times with a free arrow in it, and that's not going to change the problem.
No, and the thing is this, is I get a lot of people come in and goes, you know, I used to read comics when I was a kid. You know, so what's a comic book cost these days? And I'm like, anywhere from $3.99 on up. And they're like, damn, I remember when it was, and I go 25 cents, right? Yeah. So do I. So what's happened in this story? I go, that is, you can't ask that kind of question. I said, so much has happened in the storylines, you know, and so they get overwhelmed. They don't know where to go. And that's why I try to go, look, let's do baby steps. Let's get you into a trade paperback, because don't even start with Amazing Spider-Man. Don't even start with, you know, Immortal Hulk. Don't start with anything new right now. Just work your way up into it. And then you can kind of jump into that as you need to. You don't have to work your way all the way up into it, but you'll start getting a grasp if you read this, and this. So
particularly if you pick up your new comic of a favorite character and find out that it's not the same character anymore. It's been changed. And Superman is going to be Jonathan Kent now.
I just said the other day, I'm already don't like the whole Jonathan Kent storyline. I liked Superboy when he was Superboy, young Clark Kent. I don't like Jonathan Kent Jr. or whatever the hell he is. I don't care to even follow his adventures. So, and that's DC with his future state crap. Although Jonathan Kent was, he was introduced before the whole future state stuff. But I'm like,
well,
and I get it.
John Kent was the only thing that redeemed Damian Wayne as a character and made him interesting and made him likable.
There's another one.
Yeah, when they did that. And then, Brian Michael Bendis was like, I don't like writing kids. So he's like, here, I've got a magic potion to grow him up into a kind of a proto-adult, and we can get rid of this whole having a kid business running around.
I had such high hopes for Bendis when he went to DC. Man, that didn't work out.
Oh, he must get paid.
Yeah.
I know he's got a 4-figure page rate, so he must be writing, getting paid by the word or something.
But he still has a huge fan base. There's still people who love the work he did with Justice League, and I got to admit, the work he did with Justice League was pretty good. Maybe he's better off working in a larger group effort than an individual group effort.
Stuff I like by him was from 20 years ago. I like all the crime stuff like Goldfish and Jinx and Powers.
Yeah.
That's Bendis to me.
And nowadays, wherever Bendis goes, Naomi goes with him. Because he did Young Justice. Guess what? She's on the team. He gets moved to JLA. Guess what? She's on the team.
She's on the team, right? Well, and that was very successful for a brief moment. I mean, now no one even talks about Naomi anymore, and everybody's still excited about. I already forgot her name. It from Far Sector, the female Green Lantern, and she still has her little file. I remember when Naomi hit, I couldn't keep it in the store. Now nobody's talking about Naomi anymore because she's so been integrated into the groups that she's getting overpowered, but overexposed, and just kind of fit into her little niche, and that's it. She's no longer a singular character. She's part of a group effort.
Yeah. So the Far Sector Green Lantern is Joe Mullane.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Awesome. So, man, always good to have Herrenberg here because they're rocking it.
He's faster than Google.
He is. I'm sitting here drinking bourbon. He's like, all right, Dave said this, so let me type that up. So,
he's on my other channels when we do crowdfunded comics, and it's like I look over at the side sometimes. And it's like pop-up video on VH1. It's like factoids just popping up here all over the place. Like, yes, I love this.
I like pop-up.
Yeah, well, they're great comics, man. Herrenberg, I love their stuff so much. So, and by the way, when are you going to send me that flash drive with your TV series on there? I'm still waiting for that to come in the mail.
Speaking of waiting on flash drives in the mail.
Oh, I know. I owe you JLA, don't I?
You don't owe me anything, but
and by the way, I have a copy of Lock and Key set aside for you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was I read the PDF and I was like, this is like Sandman was in the first 12 issues of Sandman.
Yeah, it's done very well, and this is the second volume since the show, the Netflix show. So I'll get a little care package out to you on that. So
cool. I'll get you paid on that. Of course, I've been binging this that I picked up in your store.
Bingo.
Johnny Sacco and his
flying robot. Brian, you remember that?
We had a crazy channel in Houston. I can't even remember the name of it, but it had all like foreign sci-fi stuff, and that was on there.
So
it was one of those, I was flipping channels one day. It's like, whoa, what is going on here?
Yeah, I remember. So I'm 57 now, guys. So I was born in 64. And I remember running home from school and watching Johnny Sacco.
It's the same channel that would have Robotech. You remember the Robotech cartoon?
Oh, yeah. Great animation. And it's so funny because I talked to my friend out in Hong Kong and I'm a huge Ultraman fan, and of course anything kaiju, so Godzilla and so on, and we all know that. But I never understood why Johnny Sokko and his flying robot only lasted those few seasons, and it never, like, Ultraman is still going to this day. So they just wrapped up Ultraman Z or Ultraman Z. See, I even have learned how to speak Japanese a little bit. I mean, ever so lightly.
Enough to find your way around the con.
Yeah, enough to say Ultraman Z. So, but Ultraman has been going for decades and decades and decades.
Yep.
But Johnny Sokko and his flying robot lasted, I think, 2 seasons, and that is it. It has never been relaunched in Japan, as far as I know. And if somebody out there has something that I'm not aware of, please lay it on me. But I'm pretty sure, and I'm a huge fan of anything kaiju-esque or all that stuff, it's not out there. They did the 2 seasons. That was it. Yet in Japan, and I just recently bought a Ultraman Johnny Sokko figure with a little Johnny Sokko and his little watch, and then a giant Ultraman
flying robot.
Yeah, the flying robot.
Figure. You said Ultraman figure. I'm like,
I'm sorry.
The situation sounds like is what happened to Sledgehammer. Do you remember the comedy Sledgehammer? It was on ABC in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Dirty Harry parody that was only on 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a prototype of The Simpsons and that kind of humor. And the reason that they never did a sequel or anything is 6 of the writers from the writing staff went to The Simpsons. And it's like they went on that train. And I'm guessing something similar happened there. It's probably the creators are involved in another more successul project.
Yeah. Well, what killed Sledgehammer was the laugh track. When they added a laugh track,
it was ahead of its time. I remember loving it as a kid, and I don't think people got it till years later. It's on YouTube, by the way.
Yeah. No, I used to watch that show, and it was
love that show.
Excellent show. And yeah, laugh track. I don't know. You know what? I miss the laugh track.
Everything. How did that not come back?
Well, they are and they're not. My wife and I today were talking about, because we were watching the old Starsky and Hutch TV shows, which is one of my favorite crime dramas of the 70s. And it was so funny because they had so much slapstick comedy in it as well to break up the dark tension of the show, because that show dealt with rape and drug abuse and prostitution and everything. And we were sitting there going, okay, they've remade Hawaii Five-0. They've remade Magnum P.I. Yep. They've
Murphy Brown, unfortunately. It was awful, but they did it.
MacGyver. Yet they have not dug into remaking Starsky and Hutch. And is it probably because they can't find that twosome of 2 people who could work off each other as well as David Soul and Paul Michael Glazer did in those days? Because those guys were so fucking cool. I wanted to be Dave Starsky. In fact, I was so happy my name was Dave, because at least I had the first part done. So, I did. And to me, guys, that's the most iconic car in television Starsky and Hutch's car, the Starsky car, the red Tarmada. So, yeah, I love that stuff. And in a way, maybe I'm glad they didn't fuck it up by doing a remake, because Hawaii Five-0 sucked, and Magnum P.I. sucks, and MacGyver sucks.
Well, they did the Starsky and Hutch movie.
Yeah, and that sucked.
Yeah, it was like a long SNL sketch. It's not in the spirit of the show at all.
Yeah, it came about it as a humorous thing, like they did with Green Hornet. Remember when they did that, and they made it all humorous? And I'm like, no, you guys are missing the point of it. You could have done something really gritty. They did it with Miami Vice, and I thought that worked really well when they did the Miami Vice movie. Yeah, it did well because Michael Mann knows what the fuck he's doing. So let Michael Mann do a Starsky and Hutch movie, and don't turn it into a comedy. Or better yet, just do a TV show. And then my wife goes, well, they should do Miami Vice again. I'm like, no, you can't do Miami Vice again. It worked okay for the movie, but the whole point of Miami Vice, the TV show, and I'm a big fan of it, it was about the culture at the time.
Yeah, which was out of control. I saw, what was that movie? Cocaine Cowboys about Griselda Blanco,
Yes, one of my favorite documentaries.
A big part of why the MAC-10 was made illegal was the Miami police recovered 200 200 Mac 10s during traffic stops that year. That's the ones they found. So how many were in that city? Yeah, that place was nuts back then.
Oh yeah, and it was like I said, it was a culture. It was the sounds that were coming out of that culture. That's why Miami Vice. It's so funny when you watch Miami Vice today, even though it's very hard hitting, the storylines once again like Starsky and Hutch. But you look at it, and you're like, oh my God, the pastels and the padded shoulders, and In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins on the soundtrack.
That's what caught my mind. And a suggestion to everyone watching this: watch this. What I'm about to suggest later on when you get bored. The 2-part or 2-hour TV movie that was the pilot of the series, still holds up to this day. That is amazing film work by Michael Mann. That is, there's a lot of jokes about look at the clothes, look at the cars. No, you'll be impressed if you sit down and watch that thing.
I still feel, because of the storylines and the fact of the acting is so well done in Miami Vice, that the show, you can look past it for the time capsule that it's in via music and clothing, but the stories are so riveting. And
Edward James Olmos was so good in that.
Great. And like I said, and I'm a huge Michael Mann fan. I loved everything he did in the 80s. Man, just amazing, man. So remember Band of the Hand, Brian? Do you remember that?
I don't know. I don't remember that one.
Yeah, it's a Michael Mann film. Yeah, that's a good dig that one up.
I've seen most of his stuff, but I don't know that one.
Yeah, the Band of the Hand. The Band of the Hand.
You know what I would get into if it was done well? We're talking about all these shows that they're not able to remake as television shows. What if they did a serious approach to Starsky and Hutch and Miami Vice as crime comics?
They probably should.
I would love it. I would read it in a flipping heartbeat because I love crime comics, period. That's why I was a huge fan of The Shadow.
Yeah.
Because it was a crime comic. That's why I loved early Detective Comics, with Batman, because I still love Detective Comics over all the other ones.
We might have stumbled on your question earlier, RJ, of how do you save the comic business by looking for inspiration outside of the business. Doing what you said. I'm a big music guy. I saw a podcast with the lead guitarist of Fear Factory. That band has a new album coming out. He said during the interview, he is actively looking for artists to turn the lyrics of the album into a graphic novel. Let's go down this road and still telling, our 50,000 Joker story.
Yeah, quit cannibalizing ourselves.
Yeah, amen.
You know what? I was, how many times we rebooted the DC universe in the last 10 years? I was trying to sort my comics, and it's gotten to be like a real chore now because they rebooted Batman so frequently recently that I got I think it was Batman 53. I was like, okay, this follows up Batman 52. Yes, it's the second part of this Joker story. Well, then the next set, guess what? 52 and 53 were Joker stories, and they looked like they could have been interchangeable covers. I had to open the damn thing up to look inside for the volume numbers and such and the dates before I could get them in the right places. Like, you guys just went straight from one and followed straight through again with the order of how things went. Maybe different stories, but the same characters were showing up as far as guest stars and villains and such.
Yeah.
Well, I got one more thing I want to bring in about it before we run out of time, and it's the flip side of what we just talked about here. I read some bad news from IDW this week. Apparently, their parent company is just hemorrhaging money, and they're about to start losing their licenses. And
they've been hemorrhaging money for years.
Lifelong G.I. Joe fan, and is this whole thing about to go under, or is it going to get sold off into pieces to other people? Because I think it's going to get.
Yeah, I think it's going to get sold off, Brian. I know what you're talking about. IDW has been, like RJ said, hemorrhaging for a while now. Dying a slow death. I don't see them surviving. In fact, the fact they've even survived this long has blown me away because they're losing about every property they have outside of G.I. Joe being their one big staple left.
That's one.
To tell you the truth,
my favorite series ever. Larry Hama has been the writer since
1982,
and very few people can say that.
No, you're right, and that's the thing that kills me is that the IDW G.I. Joe is such a great stories that they're doing.
Yeah.
And Larry Hama, like you said, is a genius at it and is one of the last few staples left. but it's like all of a sudden it just no longer has its footing in the industry. I bring it in only out of love for it, but to tell you the truth, I only bring in 1 or 2 copies, and they sit on the shelf. And I look at it and I go, why isn't anybody reading this stuff? You know? But once again, we're talking about a property that's based on a toy line. I don't know if that's what's killing it, because G.I. Joe just isn't huge anymore.
Yeah.
Right. It's not a big toy line anymore.
I think the movies were really bad. That didn't help.
That didn't help it either. That put a nail in a coffin for it. So, and that's the thing. You're watching comic books that are based on toy lines are the ones that are dying out the first of them. They're the ones that are dying out. You know, we no longer see Transformer books. We see them, but they don't do well either anymore.
Well,
you know, and they have way too many fucking titles in the Transformer line. Why are we doing my pony, my pet pony, and Transformers? You know, what the hell is that?
They're both owned by Hasbro. That's really the only answer.
Right. And Ghostbusters and Transformers. I mean, all these Star Trek and Transformers. It's like, stop it. Just one title and do it.
Now,
So
Gabriel Hernandez is in the chat, says IDW is bleeding money, as they have been for years. Their stocks are just, the stock reports are open secret, and they're always losing money. But they're hiring aggressively. Heather Antos just announced earlier this week that she was leaving Valiant, or had left Valiant, and was now taking a position at IDW, which...
Yeah, she's a waste of life.
I mean, it's a little late, isn't it? She's leaving Valiant. Isn't Valiant gone already? What was she, like, pumping gas at the
the rumor is she got fired from Valiant, which is like, how do you get kicked out of Metallica for drinking too much? It's like, what did you do over there that they fired you?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, and that same rumor site, which, by the way, comes through Bleeding Fool, Chris Browley, who's been on our show before as a guest, good personal friend. That story not only said that was she possibly fired, but that she had floated resumes to DC, and Jim Lee said, "Fuck off."
Yeah,
because she had attacked Jay Lee over that whole Rorschach cover back when Tom King lost his shit over it.
Well, plus Jim Lee's an Ivy Leaguer anyway. He's going to see through her crap, you know.
Yeah, right. And so Marvin Wynn says, "My Little Pony sells toys." Yeah, but does My Little Pony sell comics? I carry My Little Pony. I carry My Little Pony and Transformers. Neither one of them are selling well. I don't sell My Little Pony because you can go anywhere and buy My Little Pony toys. You can go to Walmart, Walgreens. There's My Little Pony stuff there. So this idea that the toys help sell the comics, no, it doesn't. Because some are just terrible ideas to marry together.
And if you are going to sell them, and I know that, you know, I don't want to get comics out of comic shops. I want comic shops to survive. You know, people talk about putting back in drugstores and Walmarts, or taking them out of drugstores and Walmart. But how about both? How about, you know, you put the right comic in the right place? So sell the My Little Ponies and the G.I. Joes in the toy stores where you're selling G.I. Joes and My Little Ponies. And then, you know, continue selling comic books that aren't market driving or more market heavy driving advertisements in the comic shops.
Yeah, and I guess, you know what, back in the 70s when I was growing up, and I remember going up to the local Five and Dime like Ben Franklin, or even the RX drugstore and the little spinner rack of comics, and yet right across the street was Rivendell in Webster Groves where I grew up. You know, and I never thought about the fact that there was competition, and you don't. Kids don't think that way. You don't think that way unless you're in fucking business, right? Then you think about your competition right down the street and the fact that he's carrying whatever and you are, and so on and so forth. So, and believe me, I think about Walmart. Walmart is always in the back of my head, and Targets. And that's why when somebody comes in and looks at my stuff, I try to carry the stuff that you're not going to ever find at a Walmart or a Target. That's why I'm the largest retailer of Godzilla in the Midwest. I'm carrying X Plus and SH Monster Arts and certain NECA stuff that you're not going to find at your local Target or Walmart.
But I don't know if this is every Target and Walmart ever, but in the north side of Austin, we got 2 Walmarts. One's on this side, one's on this side, right? We're still, I think this is a byproduct of the pandemic. All sports cards are gone. All those DC giant size issues are gone. The only thing they have in that rack are the Magic Gathering pre-constructed decks. You can't even buy like regular packs. It's as soon as the vendor comes in, everyone snaps it up.
Absolutely, absolutely. And those are packs that are made specifically for a Dollar General or Brian, like a Walmart or whatever. And they do. They have they even have their own comic book packs that are Walmart exclusives.
Yep.
That I can't get. And it sucks. I hate that. And maybe it's been that way for decades. Maybe it's been that way since the 70s. Maybe the old Ben Franklin's. I used to remember buying packs of shrink wrapped comics, right? And it would say Ben Franklin on it. I didn't care. I thought it was cool. I got it. But I never even thought about
there was some Transformers issue in there I was missing. I wanted the one, and I got the other 2 for free, that kind of thing.
Right. So, yeah, I guess it's no matter what, it's always going to be a double-edged sword for us as the retailer. It's not going to get any easier, that's for sure. Only the strong will survive. Because
you got to do it because you love it. If you think you're going to buy a Mercedes by flipping NFTs or whatever, good luck to you. That ain't happening.
And I'm fortunate. And RJ, I think I told you this, but in case I didn't, and Brian, I'm sure, maybe I did. I can't even remember the last time we all talked. But since I think we talked on Easter, we have since shot a commercial, and we're playing at the drive-in in Belleville. I remember now talking about this. That's what you got to do. You've got to do everything you can to set yourself above and survive. This isn't the 80s anymore. When I was back in the industry, when I first started in the industry back in the mid 80s, I've watched this damn roller coaster. And once again, the roller coaster's up high. We're doing well. But at the end of every hill, you got to go down.
Yep.
So it's just the way this industry has always been. There'll be times when it feels like it's going to crash and burn. And we just all got to hang in there and stick together. And thankfully, RJ, you're doing this kind of show. This was a great night, Brian. Thank you for everything you do, man, because you're on the opposite end of what I'm at, but together we're all in the same boat, we are.
You got customer X out there. Between us, we could either get whatever you're looking for or refer you in the right direction because we're on the same team. It's not this. I'm horrified. I'm a lifelong Saturday Night Live fan and read a bunch of the behind the scenes stuff. And I'm horrified that from the 70s to now, they're trying to stab each other in the back. They're trying to outdo each other. There's this huge, intense competition. And I don't like that environment.
No. And, I agree with you. I haven't watched SNL in forever. To me,
it's garbage now.
Yeah, it's become so political. Where back in the day it was political, but in a much more fun.
No, they didn't even try to be funny. It's just propaganda at this point.
It's propaganda, right? So, and in Harrenberg, I want to give you this whole My Little Pony thing, but I'm going to disagree with you on it. Because I keep seeing his. I'm like, here's the thing, Harrenberg. Kids are not reading comics today. They're not in my neck of the woods. I know Michael had a good run with kids at his store, but kids can't get out of the video games. Even trying to bring in a My Little Pony or a Transformer, it's not working for the comic book industry. I've always said this, and I will say this, unfortunately, when our generations are gone, that is it for the comic book industry. Because the only people keeping life in the industry is this panel right here and people who have grown up with it. All the kids today who you could sit there going, well, my kid loves reading Batman. Yeah, but the short attention span of kids today, that Batman is going to get replaced by a girl when they come of age.
There's a thing that you talk about the different generations. Here's something that wasn't an option to us. This is a new phenomenon. that we can sound like Hank Hill and all these kids in the video games, but check it out. If you get good at Fortnite or Call of Duty or any of that stuff, like you can join a pro league, you can live stream your games, you can start making a living as a teenager playing video games. So, like, I don't blame them.
And then you're ready to fly drones for the military when you get out.
Yeah.
So
right. And Marvin says we get lots of kids at the cons. Well, Marvin, a lot of times the kids are being dragged in there by their dads who are looking for stuff. And it's cool because usually to shut the kid up, you go, okay, what do you want? But believe me, I've ran cons for 6 years and we had our own convention. And my thing I would always say to my wife is, that's great. That poor kid wants this toy so bad, but dad wants to make sure he spends all his money on himself and tells the kid get a $1 comic or whatever. So that's never going to change.
Dave, are you going to be out on your lawn yelling at clouds after this?
Hell at the moon.
Gabriel, you're right. You're right. I'm that crotchety old fucker. Get off my lawn. So,
but yeah, you're right.
I want to.
My Little Pony isn't driving kids to come in and get My Little Pony comic books. G.I. Joe toys aren't driving kids to come in and get G.I. Joe comics. Batman Fortnite came in to get a comic. Why? Because they were getting something of the game. If you want to get a My Little Pony comic into a kid's hand, you've almost got to make it part of the backing of the My Little Pony packaging. Remember Secret Wars figures used to come out, and there would be a Secret Wars comic in the package. You ripped it open, you read the comic.
Masters of the Universe too. They were small, but they were in there.
Yeah, that's the only comics that the toys actually push. No,
and you're right. You hit the nail on the head on that. I mean, there will be people coming in and go, hey, I got my daughter with me. I'm trying to get her into comics. What's a good thing for me to get her started on? I'm like, well, is she into My Little Pony or whatever? I've got those, and believe me, I will always carry those. I will carry those. I'll carry Transformers. I'll carry Looney Tunes. I got excited because Batman Scooby-Doo came out 2 weeks ago, but I just got it. Number one. I'm excited about that so that I can have stuff for kids when the parents bring their kids in and they're shopping for themselves, but they want to get their kids into something. This is a great jumping point. Get them into this, that, and so on. I'm not saying that those don't have a place. They do. They're just not ever going to be your bread and butter.
Yeah.
There's a solution here somewhere, because specifically with basketball, more than the other sports, it is teenagers snapping up all those basketball cards. It's not, well, there are people my age, but the younger generation loves the younger players. There's a solution here somewhere.
Yeah. And you're right. You're right. I mean, the whole baseball industry is exploding, or the sports card industry is exploding yet again. And
it's
like we just said earlier, it's all this roller coaster ride of stuff. And I'm right down the street from a Collector's Corner, which is a great shop in Belleville. And they do sports stuff. And I know he's doing extremely well. And I tell people, they come in, I go, no, take your stuff right up there, because right now is hot. Flip this stuff while you can. Because like everything, and we've been in this business long enough to know that it tapers off, or it doesn't taper off. It just goes down, and then we dry out, and then it comes back up. We're in a collector's paradise right now. COVID did nothing more than blow up the collecting market, because people sat at home, started looking at their shit that they had in boxes or in a storage unit, started looking at those sports cards, started looking at those comic books, started looking at those toys. And then they were like, okay, I'm going to flip it now, make some more money, or I'm going to sell it to a shop, or I'm going to keep it. And I'm going to go get it CGC'd or whatever. And like Brian, like I said, boom. Now they're a year behind and not even taking any more this year.
Yep.
Sure. It's so, everybody's asked me, how you guys holding up? And I'm like, well, remarkably, we're doing well. COVID didn't kill us. If anything, it helped, because
if anything, it helped. We're doing better than I thought it would.
Me too. We're fortunate, because it could have, I always say COVID killed the radio star, and it could have been that way. So, COVID killed the radio star. COVID killed the radio
Mitch Ward is
star.
giving me the segue I need here. Because now, Dave, you're the Japanese comics expert. Japanese heroes expert. He's asking what about Guyver comic books, like the Guyver Bio Booster Armor that's coming out from Viz Comics. And there's my segue that I want to get into for a second here. But first, Will, do you carry any of those? Have you seen any? Can you speak to the Guyver in any way, shape, or form?
You know what? And it's so funny because I was talking with my friend Wyatt Weed, who worked on both Guyver 1 and 2, the movies. So the Guyver, like Johnny Sacco and the Flying Robot, is a very small niche fan base that was once huge, but has been missing for a long time. So Viz doing this, and I haven't heard a whole lot about it because it's not even been up for order for us yet. I hope it does well for Viz, because Viz is a the kings of manga as far as everything goes
for a long time.
And have been and will continue to be. But the Guyver is going to be a cult thing. It's like an Ultraman thing, and yet it doesn't have the same amount of publicity that Ultraman has, because the Guyver is not being done anymore. It's and the 2 films that were done on the Guyver were American produced, American made films. So weird distribution crap there. So I'm looking forward to it. I just hope it comes up for order soon. So
apparently Mitch is asking if you have any, because he said his ex-wife destroyed his entire collection while he was in Afghanistan. Dude, I'm so sorry to hear that.
I've got some horror stories I've heard for another day about that.
Yeah.
Some real
the Guyver stuff is impossible to find. If you're talking about old Guyver stuff, good luck on that. That's an eBay thing. I have the original pressings of Lone Wolf and Cub. Those are very hard to get, and they're done in small little digest form manga. I do have original pressings on that, but I've never held a Guyver in my hand ever. So
I used to see them all, like you said, back when it was trendy. I used to see it around, and then that was decades ago.
Yeah, and they're impossible to find. So if you're talking about the old stuff, no. If there's any new Guyver stuff coming out, I've heard nothing about it.
But Viz is making the news because Marvel and Viz have signed an agreement of some sort, and apparently the hot comic that's going to come out of this is that Marvel and Viz are releasing a manga about Captain Marvel's cat.
Yeah, that's what the world will ask for.
I'm sorry, Captain Marvel's cap?
Cat. You remember the cat?
Oh shit!
The cat that swallowed the cosmic cube, and
forget it.
But
stop.
Well, apparently, they are going to be doing something with. They're partnering together, and they're going to bring some of Marvel's recent manga from Japan to North America. I don't know, Viz. The manga sales, you guys, Dave, you should pack up shop right now, move to Japan, and reopen there. Because what was it? The last issue of Demon Slayer came out and sold 80 million copies.
Yeah.
And I looked up the population in Japan is 130 million. I said, basically, if you had a wallet, you bought a copy of Demon Slayer.
Everybody was buying it.
That's everybody from janitors to CEOs to college kids to high schoolers.
Yeah. And it's still, to me, in my shop, it is probably the number now has moved up to the number 1 selling manga that I ever carry is Demon Slayer, with Dragon Ball and Pokemon probably somewhere below that. But yeah, Demon Slayer, I can never keep it in stock enough. So
it's selling here too.
It is. It is. Yeah, exactly. So well, look, guys, it's party time. It's Saturday night, and you see behind me the tiki bar is open, so I know my wife's ready.
I'll be right there.
Yeah,
I got the bedroom open. It's gonna be power off soon.
No, RJ, get in your bat plane and get your butt over here, man.
Oh, I'd love
and we'll
to,
party
man.
up.
I could use a few drinks today.
There you go.
All right, guys, thanks for coming on.
Hey, great show, guys.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Always have fun, but I don't know. We were productive tonight.
Yes,
it felt productive. Yes, great chat. A lot of activity there, guys. Thank you for showing up in the chat. We don't have a show without you. And as always.